Hey everybody, and welcome to Chamber Chat on the Road. This is our first episode of 2021, and I'm excited to be back hitting the streets to meet the people and places that keep Habersham happening. Our first stop is the Habersham County Courthouse, where staff and volunteers with the Northeast Georgia CASA program spend a good deal of time. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate, and we're going to learn a little bit more about this amazing program. All right, everybody, I'm joined here in the courtroom with Chuck Taylor, who is Advocacy Coordinator for CASA, and Diane Brown, who's a volunteer for CASA, and they're here to talk about what CASA means for our community. So Chuck, I'll start with you. Tell us a little bit about the mission and vision of CASA.
Well, our mission is to recruit and train volunteer advocates who will be sworn in to the juvenile court to advocate for a child that is in foster care. And all those children are there because of abuse and neglect. And while we often call them volunteers, really that's just a pay scale. They are advocates and they represent the child's best interest. So amongst all of the many facets of a dependency case, which is what brings a child into foster care, they go and they speak to the child and advocate for that child to the judge. They write a report for the judge at every hearing and let that judge know what's going on, all of the details. And Judge Carswell, the juvenile court judge in the Mountain Judicial Circuit, says the CASAs bring the color to a very black and white world.
Oh, wow. All right. So tell us walk us through the day in the life of an advocacy coordinator. What exactly do you do?
We monitor all of the cases and keep up with all of the children that are in, and then we work to get them appointed to an advocate. We also support those volunteer advocates in their advocacy. So we help them prepare their reports. Sometimes we work as a sounding board when they get back from a visit and they want to talk about the case and just have someone to discuss all of the many facets going on.
Well, so Diane, I want to turn it to you now, because as a volunteer, how long have you been a volunteer?
I want to say October is when, or maybe the latter part of September. CASA had been not a burden, but it was something on my heart that I knew was something that was so beneficial to so many lives.
Yeah.
And so in the Northeast Georgian, as a matter of fact, there was an article about volunteering. So that Monday, I think I called, and Chuck called. We conversed, and he told me basically what it was about. So I have my first case.
Wow.
So after training, which I was really surprised at the length of training and the in-depth training that a volunteer goes through. I mean, I guess I had in my mind, okay, I get a case, so I hit the road and I go out there and I just start doing whatever. Well, there's a whole lot more to it than that. And then, seriously, I knew that was not the way it would happen, that I did the training. So I felt like that really prepared me and the other volunteers that were in training with me to be prepared to go out. But you still have a little trepidation, you know, when you make your first call. But so far, it's been a blessing to me. I've learned so much already, even just in the first case.
Yeah.
So no, they don't just send you out and say, okay.
Like sheep among the wolves.
Right. They don't give you a name tag and say, okay, go for it. There's a lot of support because Chuck and I talk a lot.
So what happens when somebody, suppose somebody was watching this program, they're interested, or they read about it, how do they, if they call you to be a volunteer, what are the steps?
Well, I'm going to call them back and send them an email for some information for them to read, and we're going to have a long, lengthy discussion about how long they're going to spend every month to be an effective advocate for a child, and what those roles of the CASA are in the court and for the child, and make sure it's a good fit, because it needs to be a good fit. And a person really needs to think about, this is not working at the soup kitchen volunteer opportunity. It's something that engages a person's mind and their heart. They have to carry on, get involved in some emotional material sometimes. And if they think this is a good fit, they will fill out an application with a short one-page autobiography, send it back to us, and we begin a screening process, which would include background checks and interviews with CASA staff.
What is the time commitment of a volunteer? Is it just as you have time available? I mean, it is a volunteer position, so what do you tell people as to what to expect?
Well, I tell them that it's a commitment to a child.
Yeah.
And we can look at average. Our volunteers drive thousands of miles to go see children that are placed all over Northeast Georgia, and sometimes, in the worst case scenario, even down in South Georgia. But I tell them it's 12 to 15 hours a month is what you can expect.
Okay.
Most of that, like Diane, she would spend 12 to 15 hours, but most of that she can plan. She can't, of course, decide when the court hearings are going to be.
Right.
So, and a child will have about 5 court hearings the first year that they're in foster care. But when she goes to meet with the school, she does that. She plans that with the educational staff at the school.
Yeah.
And counselors and such as that.
I'm just curious, how did 2020 impact this program with not being able to have in-person court and with school being the way it is? What kind of impact did it have on the program?
Well, our program did exceptionally well. We have great leadership. We saw the writing on the wall that we needed to move quickly to make things available virtually.
Yeah.
So we went immediately to virtual trainings. Of course, we've seen court now is on the computer, is
Yeah.
virtual. So it stopped some of the in-person things. But our CASAs have still maintained that they want to see those children. So we've got CASAs pulling up in front yards and saying, put the children out in the porch, I
Wow.
need to see them. Yeah. Our mission has stayed the same, and we have a great mission to keep kids centered, because there's so, in law and in these difficult situations, being able to maintain a singular focus on a child is a great relief, and that mission doesn't change.
Yeah, that's awesome that you guys were able to not skip a beat, despite all that was going on. So I wanted to just kind of close with, what are your needs? If someone wants to get involved, what are the different ways that they can get involved?
Well, first and foremost, to be an advocate.
Yeah.
But, sharing about the program, it may not be a good fit for someone, but that person may be great with social media.
Yeah.
So sharing about CASA on their, through their social media outlets, to, when we do fundraisers, to be a part of those, to allow their business to make contributions, being a financial contributor.
Yeah.
So that money goes to training more
So
advocates.
you can take donations.
We would love to take
Yeah.
donations. I'm sure there's a lot of other people in that
I'm
line,
sure.
but we would like it too.
Of course.
And we have the best mission, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think that these problems are part of tomorrow for our community. So investing in these children and making sure that they get all of the things they need while they're coming through these very hard years will decide who they are as adults.
Yeah.
So just sharing the CASA mission, contributing financially, and of course the greatest gift is for someone to give their time to a child to advocate for what they need.
Absolutely. Well, how can our viewers find out more? Where can they visit you online, phone number?
They can visit our website at www.northeastgacasa.org. They can call our office, which is 706-886-1098, or they can email me directly at chuck.taylor@northeastgacasa.org, and we would love to get back with them.
When I visited with Chuck and we were talking about the case that I was going to work on, I was astounded when I looked at his computer and I saw the number of children that just he is responsible for. I think everyone in the county was probably like me, and probably most everywhere. You know there are children in need, but you don't have any idea how many.
Yeah.
So anyone that I would make a plea, if you feel like it's a fit for you to step up, because there are many out there, and they need an advocate to listen to them and to tell the court how they feel.
We're going to clone you, Diane.
Well, again, if anybody's out there watching and feels compelled to get involved, Chuck listed several different ways, and obviously this is very meaningful and impactful personally for you both, and I'm sure all the other 70 plus advocates who are out there and volunteers. So again, thank you so much, and we will be right back.